All right. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to pop in and do a quick intro for this tutorial for the June challenge, which is going to be the Birkin plant. So Sylvie is kind enough to be teaching this one. So Sylvie, if you want to show your finished plant to show what we're making here. Yay, that looks so pretty. All right.
And that's all from one sheet of paper.
Yeah, isn't that great? That's so good. Efficient. All right, so we're going to jump in and I'm going to spotlight her video right now. So we should only be seeing her work. So there we go. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Sylvie, take it away.
Okay. If you cut each one of the leaves out by putting the template over a piece of paper, you'll end up with 8 leaves all cut out. And I've got one here. What you do to each one is you take the template one on an embossing mat, line them up, and you use your embossing tool and you just go over the lines. It's just to give you a guide. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. It is just literally a rough guide.
If you didn't have the embossing tool, do you think a bone folder would work as well?
Anything that you can press down, it makes a mark, really.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be, and once you've done it, turn it over and lightly go over them where you can see the lines again. Just lightly, it doesn't have to be too hard. The paper I've used is quite thin. But it's just so you've got a line, marks.
Mm-hmm.
It really helps when you come to painting, because if they weren't there, I'd forget what I was doing. Go all over the place.
Right.
Must be my age. So that you do that to all of them. So you've now got lines. I'll turn my light up a bit. You see, you got lines.
Yep. Cool.
Now, when it comes to painting, I'm using Inktense blocks. So I have to wet this. I've got a long rigger brush as well.
Okay.
That's just my preference. Some people prefer just a fine brush. I like rigger brushes because you can get a lot of water, a lot of paint onto the brush loaded. You don't have to keep stopping.
Right.
A lot of it just goes right up the length of the brush. So that's all loaded now.
Mm-hmm.
So now, whichever side you want to start, I always do the side that doesn't curl up because it's easier.
Right.
And then at the bottom here, at the bottom of the plant, I like to do a little V. And I fill that in.
Okay.
And then I follow the line. As you can see, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
With this Inktense, you can't see it go down. It's like clear. And then as it dries, it pops out.
Yeah, I see that. That's interesting.
As you can see, it's very much a guide because I'm not being exact.
Right.
I want to try and be as relaxed as possible doing this. So it doesn't have to be, I don't want people to get all upset if it doesn't go exactly on the lines. It doesn't have to. If you look
Right.
at a real one, they're all different. Nature's different.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've done that, we can go around the edges. And at the tip here, so just do it and talk about it as I do it. Just go right around the outside of the leaf. But then where you've drawn the lines, just go up a little bit so that it, if you like, in case the green looks like a segment, if you like.
Gotcha.
Only slightly, just
Right.
so it doesn't look like a big white line around the edge of a plant.
Yeah.
Gives it a little bit of a shape.
Mm-hmm.
Need more water in there. I should have sprayed it. And then we'll start down this side.
And how thick should they be making that outer line?
Whatever's easiest. It doesn't have to be really thick.
Okay.
Because you can always, if it's too thick at the end, you can always trim your leaf a little bit. So
Okay.
at this bit, what we're going to do, you have to really only use a light touch because you want the finest, thinnest line you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So just and pick it up every now and again and just do random lines. By the time you get to the end of doing the 8 leaves, you'll be expert. And if you look at a real Birkin, which is a good idea, some of them you can see where the lines join up and dash, dot, dash, dot, dash sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
When mine goes on clear and dry, so mine are a bit blobby there in the middle. So I'm just going to neaten that line up. But you can always go back. And ever so lightly in the middle, do little tiny, like, fluffy bits coming out. That's all I can.
Okay.
Just tiny little, just soften the line anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also, in gherkin plants, some leaves are more green and some are more white. And you can add more or less as much as you like. And the fluffy bits you can do on some of these edges down at the end of a line.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's not hard, is it?
No, it seems super simple for something that looks so
That's one side.
complex. Yeah.
It does look, but it's just lines.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Great.
Like that.
Yeah, that's great.
And then you turn over and do it all again.
All right.
Should we do it all again for practice or should we go on to the next stage?
Now let's go ahead and show them again. How long does it take for that paint to dry? Because I've never worked with that particular medium before. Is it pretty dry?
Already.
Oh wow.
Dry, yeah.
Oh wow.
It is watercolor, but when it's dry, it's permanent.
Okay.
Artists, there's lots of artists that always buy the stuff, and it's really hard to find it in stock anywhere.
Mm.
So I try to buy about 5 at a time.
I gotcha.
It's not dear. It's quite cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's new. It's new. So for someone to making this brand new, it'll probably take them ages. And then by the time you get to the 8th one, it won't be as long as the first one.
Right.
And there might be an easier way to do it. I just know my way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can show. You know, that's all it is. Just my way, and I'm not saying it's the way.
Right. So I've only really done one other plant that had white lines on a leaf, and I used a white colored pencil. Um, so I would assume you could probably do the same here, although it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be as intense as what you're using. So you'd probably have to either
You could
go
use
over it a few
watercolor
times.
pencils, couldn't you?
Maybe. I don't know if they would be as opaque though. I'm not sure. I don't really use watercolor pencils, so I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It depends what paper you use as well.
Yeah.
It's something to experiment with, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, use whatever medium you've got.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing this, just use whatever you've got. Try it.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything new.
I think because I've got a few white paint pens in my arsenal right now, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing when I make mine, just to show that as another experimental medium. Yeah, nice.
So out of the two sides, when you've done that, decide which side you like best,
Mm-hmm.
and make that the top. Then you get your marker pens. I've got alcohol pens here because they'll dry quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could use anything, but really, you just want to take the white out just a little bit in places. Just give the leaf some depth. And if you think it's covered up too much of the green, the white, then you can always put some more on.
Okay.
And the reason I did this one first is because this one's nice and full. I've got lots of ink. This one's a little bit iffy.
Gotcha.
So now I'm going to go in with a nice different colour, which is a nice zesty green. Because if you look at Birkin, they have sort of like a yellowy tinge to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that, but now I think I've destroyed the white too much. So let's put a little bit more white down there.
All right.
Now you want to turn it over so you've got the back showing. And take your piece of wire. Got a blobby bit at the end of mine. I don't want blobby bits. Right. So you take your wire and leave about half an inch at the top, and you're going to stick it like that.
Okay. And that's a 24 gauge wire.
This wire is quite flimsy wire. I've got I don't know. It's about 24.
Okay.
And I've covered it in paper, just strips of strips of crepe paper.
Gotcha.
So you just put a line of glue down the leaf. It'll take some time to dry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's grabbed it, but wouldn't want to work on it straight away because it just come undone again. But that's the stage. And I've done one already. It's a different, one of the bigger leaves.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the same stage. See?
Yep.
Now we're going to do our stems. And the stems, you need crepe paper, 7x4, but this is half of it. It's a scrap piece I've got, but just open it up, stretch it right out. And then you get your double-sided tape. So it's about 7 inches, the length of the wire.
Mm-hmm.
And you just stick down the grain.
Okay.
Double-sided tape. Everything's sticking to my tape. So you just put multiple bits on,
Mm-hmm.
and then you cut them into strips like that.
Gotcha. And how wide are those strips?
This tape I've got is 3/4 of an inch wide.
Okay.
And then you fold that in half lengthways.
Okay. And
use a bone folder. Put that out. A bone folder to really give it a nice crease, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you take your scissors. Now I cut from the folded edge because it's easier to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the little V that we put up in the leaf?
Right.
The little white V bit?
Mm-hmm.
Just go on the front, it'll be easier. If you put the edge of your strip there, and you know that it's going to be about there, so from about there is where it's going to fit onto the leaf. Actually, you can go a little bit deeper. It doesn't look very big, does it? Go up to the centre, halfway. Then it's easier, really, to turn it around the other way. And then go up to that point there and meet it at the same point you've stuck to your scissors. So what you're doing is creating a V.
Right.
Like 2 V's, like that. Just like that.
Yep.
And then the fiddly little piece. Right. So I always put it on the front first because I can get it exactly lined up where I want it.
Yep.
So what I want to do is this V, hook the other one behind out of the way, and I want it going up that white piece there. And then press.
Mm-hmm.
And turn it over. Take the rest of the backing off.
Mm-hmm.
But then put some of the backing on again in a minute. When you've lined that down that half, can you see that's down that half?
Yep. Yep.
When you've done that, it's easy if you turn it around because the point of it's getting in the way. put some paper on there, that half that you just done, and fold that over so it doesn't stick to itself in the wrong place.
Gotcha.
And then line this up. It should line up exactly onto the stem.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've got that lined up there, you can pull away this and then close it and press it really firmly. Sometimes it might overlap and you've got a sticky bit that overlaps, so you can just trim it so it doesn't stay sticky.
Gotcha.
Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
And if you think it's too like jaggy there, you can just make it nice and smooth going up to the leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you see what I mean? I've got that's a bit.
Yeah, it comes out.
So I'm going to make it smooth like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the front of your leaf. And also what I do is, where the wires come to, I trim that bit away.
Okay.
I also do a little V by the wire because it's easier. I'm using really terrible scissors, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Now, I've done that little point. So when you Mod Podge, I stick them into my little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just thinking ahead.
And for the stem, does it matter what color green crepe you use? Do you remember what color you have there?
I've used Italian 140 because they tend not to go so yellow when you put Mod Podge on. But when you look at Birkin, they do look yellow. So I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
The stems are quite yellowy. So even if the glue turns it yellowy, it will still look okay.
Okay.
So it depends. You just have to try. And you can always touch them up with a pen afterwards anyway if they're too, put ink, an alcohol pen on the stems if you don't like what they look like afterwards when you've Mod Podged.
Gotcha.
So you do that with all 8 leaves, and then you Mod Podged them on one side, let them dry, turn them over, and Mod Podge the other side, includes all the stems as well, everything. So when you've got to that point and they're all dry, you have 8 leaves all ready. So what you do then is, I've got little bits everywhere, sorry.
It's all right.
You should have 3 big ones. 3 medium ones. And you've got a slightly smaller one and then a smaller one still.
Okay.
So you're probably wondering what all these grooves are.
Right. I was just about to ask.
Right. I put these grooves in so that when I'm adding them in a minute, I know exactly how long the stem's going to be sticking up outside the pot. So I want the smaller ones to be longer than the bigger ones that go to the bottom.
Okay.
Stems. So I put little V's in to remind me in case I wander off somewhere and don't know what I'm doing. And so as I'm doing them, I match the notches up all at the same level. Can you see what I'm doing there?
Mm-hmm.
So they're all at the same level. And one thing I didn't get ready, which is silly me, was a piece of wire. So I'm just going to cut myself off a piece of thick stem.
Okay.
Just a piece of really nice tough wire. Just left over from a flower I've done before.
Gotcha.
So we start with assembling. It's just simply starting with my glue. Starting with the tiniest flower. Also, another point, just give them a little bit of a shaping now. It's easier than when it's assembled.
Okay.
So this one, because they're all completely dry, I fold up the middle a little bit, hold it up so that it curves inwards,
Mm-hmm.
the stem.
Yep.
And I curl up the leaves at the bottom like that with the bone folder.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just curls up that top leaf a little bit.
Gotcha.
And you can shape the stems later on when they're in the pot. So it's just the leaves are a little bit harder to do using the bone folder and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
do them a little bit first. Then you get your glue, tacky glue, and the front of the leaves go inwards so that you have the front shown when it's done. Here it comes. So I'll just put a bit of glue on there and put my wires that I'm going to use to hold them all.
Mm-hmm.
And I just press that around the wire like that. Also, the notch that I put in stops the rest of it folding around, so it's just sort of it's easy to see where they are. So then you get the next size one, which is this one.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to face the fronts together.
Okay.
Right? And then where the notch is where you're going to put this one.
Gotcha.
So let's put some glue on the front facing part of that. And match the notches up again. And just put it and wrap it around what you just done. The glue will hold everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
And something I had forgotten to do, which I'll make sure I do now, if that's what you dry for a minute. You get me some paper. Cut some strips. I don't want them too long because they're just too hard to handle if they're long.
Right.
So I just have lots of strips and just keep adding them as you need them. It's not hard to cut more if you need more, is it? So
Right.
there's all my strips. Let's stretch it out. And I'm going to wrap the first two.
Mm-hmm. So while you're wrapping that, I've got a question for you. When you're making those notches, how much spacing are you using to do the gradual lengths from the larger leaves to the smaller leaves? Like, are you giving
Well,
it like a centimeter difference or a couple centimeters or?
it's only slightly because there's the length. There's the length of the little leaf.
Mm-hmm.
That one's slightly less. And these, because once you put the notch there, because they're bigger,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably the same as that one. But you can make them nearer, you can make them much lower. It really is whatever you want.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was any sort of like specific method to the madness there.
No, I never do anything specific because I think the more random you can do it, the more natural it will look.
Right.
It's just eyeball it really.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got them both wrapped, put them to one side like that. I can hear my Birkin screaming. What are you doing to me? Put a bit of glue down the middle there. We're going to wrap this around.
Right.
Just to give it some strength.
Mm-hmm. It also covers that wire that was poking out in the middle too.
Yeah,
so.
you could use a bone folder or something just to push around. So then if you just give them that sort of shape, like a U.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is if you look at this one, you see they're all coming out from the middle.
Yep.
That's the idea. So then you've got 3 medium leaves. So these you just want to, it's like when you make a flower, just put them equally, roughly, but always make sure that the stem is facing outwards and
Right.
the leaf is shaped,
Yeah.
So you just keep doing it where the notches are until all 8 are covered, and in between, wrapping them as well as you go. It's
Okay.
very much like assembling a flower, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
People go, oh, I don't know how to do a plant, but it's the same.
Yeah.
And these philodendrons are lovely because there's so many different types of ways to decorate them.
Mm-hmm.
So as you see, I'm putting a bit of glue there.
Yep.
So they're very much anchored. They're not going to get pulled out.
Right.
Doing it without my tool. She's fingers. Just keep going. Sometimes it helps if you point out the leaves just a little tiny bit and look down like you do when you do a flower.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where you want to put the next one.
Right.
Just do it all by eye, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's just remembering where you just put one on.
Right.
Where's I put that one? I think it's there, actually, yeah. Put a bit of glue there. Sometimes it dries up before you get to the end.
Right.
By making it so that it's nice and smooth in there, as the glue dries, it will stay like that.
Mm-hmm.
Paper and glue, it's paper mache, really, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
just a little bit more creative, that's all, isn't it?
Right.
So I'm putting mine in there because there's a gap there. See?
Yep.
Nearly done there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what yours looks like. I take it you're going along.
Yeah. Well, I'm not following along just now because I want to make sure that, I can keep an eye on the video and uh, make sure that everything's in shot. So, but I will probably do that sometime this week. And post it up so people can see what I've done, because I'm going to use a little bit of a different type of paper, and I'll
Yeah,
probably
that's
use
it.
that paint
It's
pen.
nice because we'll see what people use
Mm-hmm.
and how a difference it makes, and it will be nice. And some people might want to use crepe paper.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well the painting would work on that, but I'm curious to see what would happen.
Well, I did on Instagram see a lady that did some begonias with crepe paper, and from distance they look really cool.
Hmm.
Little bit of liney and grainy close up.
Yeah.
But then again, saying that, begonias are very textured, so
Mm-hmm.
it could work. Not begonias. Yeah, it is begonias, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh dear, I get all my words muddled up. But I've got to see where do I want to put this big one? I've got 3 coming. I think I'll put one there. So you glue it onto the mass or stemmy bits on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Because that nice wide bit's there, it's nice and it takes well.
Right.
And then when you put your strips around, it's got absolutely no way of escaping, even if it wanted to. Have you got a bird?
Mm-mm. I do not. It might be my husband's video game in the background, actually. That
Oh,
you
is he
might be
playing
hearing.
Angry Birds?
No.
My husband has earphones on, so I don't have to listen to his gaming.
Oh.
They can hear you. I can't, but they can, so I've got earphones on. So let's see. I think it needs to go there. So I'm just getting the notch lined up down the bottom. It's quite simple. The notches help.
Yeah, I see how
you've
that.
already, you sort of already sussed out where you want to put them. And
right.
if you don't like it when it's done, next time you make one, you can make them a little bit different, different levels that works. And like if you was having more leaves, you could do that.
Right.
So, I mean, you could totally cut out 2 sheets of leaves and have 16 leaves and give yourself a nice full, lovely Birkin. Got that. I wonder how many paper strips I've done like this in my life so far. It's hundreds.
Thousands, probably.
Yeah. Get that right there. Hope it helps somebody, encourages them to have a go. That's what it's all about. It's sharing.
Right. Absolutely.
It's not about perfection. It's about having fun.
Yeah.
I've got one leaf left. And everything in me is saying, go there. So I'm going to go there.
Yeah, it looks like there's just a hole there. So
yeah, just the reason I've done 8, you might think that's odd. Everything should be in odd numbers. I was thinking about that, and I could only fit 8 on the page. Actually, I was thinking the little one you always stick up in the middle.
Right.
That gives you a nice odd number to spread out, so that it still works.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like an even number. I can't stand it. You'd have like 4 that way and 4 that way. And
yeah.
It'd look odd. So there's a reason to my madness. I've got to find out where I'll put it now. Is it that one? Is it that one? Yep, it's that one. Put a bit of glue in. In true crafting style, my table is absolutely piled high.
Oh yeah. I just cleared mine off last night, so I had some room to work, but
I'll clear mine off at Christmas. Right. Right, there you go. So then that's all done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put that to one side. So now, if you look at this, let's use the one I did yesterday. You've got your pot. I like to use, I've got these recycled pots, but they're very flimsy.
Right.
But it just doesn't really matter because you put them inside another pot anyway, container. So I've got my pot. You probably wonder what the corrugated strips are for. I've come up with this from the paper plants. I've got a black piece of card around the base of this one. And then another little piece of corrugated just around the rest of the stem.
Okay.
And then I've used my pliers to bend the wire just to hold it in place around there.
Okay.
All helps with gluing it all into place later. So to make the little mock dirt, for want of a better reason or thing to call it, pencil. There's a pencil. Well, I made two, but just to show you how I did it, I got really super thick cards. I came up with this idea after finding on the internet someone, for their fake plants, they put a little lip like this and they put it in their pot and it goes down a bit, and then they add a little bit of dirt in there. If you've got dry dirt, you could do that and it looks totally real. And if you're worried about the stems, well, they'll be Mod Podged. So if you want to run a bit of glue around them just to make them look a bit more resistant to moisture, if you like, you could totally do that. Put a little bit of dirt or some stones, pebbles or something like that on that little lip. That you've put, do you see what I'm saying? On that lip there, you can put some pebbles. You could add dry dirt, make sure it's dry, and that would look quite real. Or you could just do that. It doesn't look real, but when you're looking, trust me, when you're looking from over there, it looks real enough.
Yeah.
That is literally black paper, black card, with lots of little pieces of them scrapped pieces of crepe paper, black paper, little bits of green crepe paper, and also some brown wrapping paper, the brown stuff. Load it just all into tiny little pieces like glitter.
Yeah.
Then you spread glue all over your thing here and you sprinkle it all on, let it dry, and then you've got your little ring like that.
Gotcha.
But to do the ring, you simply, I'll just run through it. You draw your circle, mark the centre, well, roughly, I've got a centre bit there. X marks a spot like that.
Yeah.
And I always cut the middle bit before I'm going to blast you with I've got a glass mat under here, so.
Gotcha.
I don't want to cut all the thing up. So then what I do is, can you see, right?
Yep.
I cut into the middle before I cut my circle out because I don't really want to cut through my fingers.
Right.
And I probably will slip. I've just got more card to hang on to. Literally, it's everybody's done that before, one way or another, with something they're about to. Okay. That's that. Then you just quickly cut that out. Hasn't even got to be perfect.
Right.
What I'll do for this one is I'll put pebbles in just to show you haven't got to, use a whole jar of pebbles.
Right. Gotcha.
So now you've got a piece of black and you've got the little slits there. Let's make sure. What's the status of my pot? Let's make sure it fits in the pot. Yeah, it does. I've got to get it out again. There you go. I put my masking tape lines, they were sticking to me.
Oh.
So then what we do is we get our plant that we've got the pointy bit,
mm-hmm.
and we poke it through there. And you can put a finger in there because we've made a big gap in the middle of the whole thing.
Right.
Put it up to that.
Mm-hmm.
So all these little bits hold it in place, really.
Yeah.
Get it nice and level. So now you've got that going on. Let's just see if it fits in there. It does.
Nice. That's so smart.
Is it really? I don't know.
It is. I think it's brilliant because I always struggle with what to use for my plants and my, flowers and things like that. Especially if I'm using a pot, because I'm like, I don't want to use foam,
No, I don't want to use foam either. This is exactly why I've done this, because it's all recycled stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes into landfill, and you'll need a little piece like this first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep pulling it with your finger, making it nice and flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it upside down. That'd be easier, won't it?
Yeah.
So we want to stick that on there first, because everything's paper.
Right.
Lots of glue around it. More glue the better. Fiddly. But once the thing is, you want to keep it as tight as you can, go around there.
Mm-hmm.
And take it off at this point if you really must. And put a little bit of tape on there to hold it. No one's going to see it. And then you can just slide that in there like that. Push it right down. Done. I'm making it look far too pretty than what it really is. I mean, to be honest, you could use a glue gun for this tiny step. I can't use a glue gun anywhere near the pot that I've got because it melts the pot. I found that out.
Gotcha.
So I can hear people probably thinking, why don't you just use a glue gun? It's so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
It would be. If you had a pot that wasn't really flimsy, but I'm determined to use these pots because I've bought like 100 of them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there's that stage. And then this, probably guess what this is. This is like a length of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like the same sort of width. And literally, I'll start it at the beginning bit. We literally put it on there and keep rolling. Can you see all right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't throw cardboard boxes away because I need it for this now.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the end and I needed more, so I had to stick a bit more on there.
Right.
So you can just join bits together.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I didn't do, which I should have, is the little bit at the end that sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
I usually turn that.
Oh, yeah.
Just turn it a little bit, hold it in. It doesn't just twist it into the cardboard around it so that it doesn't stick out. And also it helps anchor it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you put that in there now, you've got a plant that stays upright.
Yep.
You can I've got some pebbles somewhere. Pebbles look nice with plants, don't they?
Yeah.
So you can have it like that as well.
Nice.
With pebbles.
Yeah, that looks great.
And it all stands. And if you've got a nice little pot, put them in a nice, pretty pot.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Cool.
And that's it.
Brilliant.
That's all there is to it.
That was a lot simpler than I was thinking it was going to be. So,
what must have gone through your head, I don't know. But then saying that, it did take a while for me to puzzle it out, and
right.
I have simplified it as best I can by. I suppose each time you do it, the easier it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Using green paper to begin with does really help.
Yeah.
Because you can alter the green using markers, paint, and it saves painting it green to begin with. This one, I didn't paint anything on them. I just left it plain green.
Okay. Gotcha.
So even if you don't do any painting on them, you can make a plant. The kids could sit down with the kids and make a plant. Yeah, that's the basics. And also the nice thing is, like I said, it doesn't have to be all this stripe. You can have philodendron come in like plain greens and lighter greens and different patterns all over them.
Mm-hmm.
Just go look them up because you can do a whole load of philodendron.
Thank you so much. This is such a great tutorial.
You're welcome.